Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Sunday, February the 6th, 2022. It is currently 5:29 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the empty sanctuary of Victory Baptist Church, located right here in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And it is from this very empty sanctuary. Well, it's very empty right now, but it's from this very sanctuary where I do a lot of teaching, a lot of preaching, and a lot of podcast episodes. In fact, there are thousands of podcast episodes, thousands of sermons. There is so much content produced every single day from this very empty sanctuary, from this very spot where I'm sitting. I mean, this is how crazy it is. You may not even realize this, but if you look up Theology Central on many of the podcast apps, we are classified, are you ready for this? Not a daily podcast. We are classified as an hourly podcast. That means we put out so much content that the podcast apps think that we are an hourly podcast, meaning that a new episode is going to be dropped every single hour. Well, clearly we're not an hourly podcast, but that just shows you how much content is produced from this very room that I am sitting in talking to you this Sunday afternoon. All right. Now, you may not care. You may not care. Your thoughts may be, look, all I care about is whatever the latest episode is, that's what I'm going to listen to, but I don't really care about anything you've done in the past. I don't care about any other series. I don't care about any sermon series, any podcast series. I don't care. And I can understand that. To be honest with you, I have a tendency just to think of the present, right? I don't really think about anything I've done in the past. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. A lot of people are like, well, you know, where's this past message or this past, or hey, I'm trying to go back and listen. And whenever I hear someone saying, I'm trying to go back and listen, I'm always taken a little bit back and shocked. I'm like, well, what? Oh, you're going back to listen? And I'm kind of like, I mean, it makes me happy, but sometimes I think about, well, just focus on what I do next. Don't worry about what I've done. But then on the other ways, I'm like, you know what? I did put a lot of work in. You know, the hours and 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 hours of my life have been spent right here in this very building, in this very room, preaching and teaching. Has all of it been great? No. Has all of it been perfect? Absolutely not. But as a sinner, doing my very best to try to teach and explain and try to figure out Christianity with you, there may be something in all of those thousands of hours of preaching and teaching and discussing and podcast episodes and everything else that we've done. There could be something in there that could benefit someone, right? Sometimes I'll get into a discussion, say, about Pelagianism. And they'll say, well, you know, I've never heard any teaching on Pelagianism. And so my first thought always is, okay, well, I'll do some teaching on that. But then sometimes I'll realize, well, wait a minute, I've already done like over 4 hours on that. Why wouldn't I just tell them to go find it? But then I'm like, well, it's not always easy for them to go find the old content. No, we've done some things to try to make it easy, right? If you go to theologycentral.net, and you click on episodes, I've tried to categorize and put all of the episodes in different series, and you can easily find them there. Now, I have to manually go in and update that, and so I need to go work on that. It usually takes a couple of hours to work on it, which is time-consuming. And we also created for our sermons, a pod page. And if you go to theologycentral.net and just look at the menu, you'll see something that says VBC. That'll take you to the VBC pod page, and then you can click on episodes and find things there as well. We've tried our very best to organize it, but we realized something. Our content is spread out all over the place. And here's the reason why. So just stay with me. So I've spent hours and hours. We've got thousands and thousands of episodes. And on your normal podcast app, it's just really hard to find stuff, right? It's not really organized in any meaningful way. You just scroll and scroll and scroll. Well, when you got thousands of episodes, people are not going to scroll through. They're going to scroll like, yeah, whatever, forget it. They may try to do a search. Maybe the search bar will help, but it can be difficult, right? But that's a lot of work. So if possibly someone could benefit from it, then you want to put it in some kind of category. And we've tried, like we've got the pod pages. So I think that's a first step, but the pod pages are not perfect. And I'll explain why here in a minute. We tried sermon.net. Well, that we've had all kinds of issues. I still could go back to sermon.net and try, but they don't let you pull in all of your stuff from your RSS feed. So I'd have to manually load every single thing I've ever done. And that would literally take, you think I'm joking, thousands of hours to do that. And I can't, I'm trying to produce new content, not trying to spend thousands of hours archiving old content. If they would just let me pull in the RSS feed and then organize it, then that would be one thing, but they don't let me do that. So we tried that. That doesn't really work anywhere. But so people have access to our content on, like I said, every platform on earth: Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Deezer, every podcast app imaginable. We're everywhere. But again, it's not easy to find that older content. And here's what makes it very complicated. Stay with me. We were at one point exclusively on SoundCloud, right? It was just an easy way for people in the church to hear sermons that they may have missed because people started working on Sundays and their jobs were getting in the way. And if I was able to record anything extra, it was there. It wasn't any major focus. It was just an easy way to do so. It was inexpensive, easy. Okay, great. We're on SoundCloud. Then from SoundCloud, we moved things to Anchor. Now, we left things on SoundCloud, kind of. We weren't always putting everything there. So a lot of stuff moved over to the Anchor podcasting platform. All right, so now we have stuff that's on SoundCloud, and we have stuff that was produced on the Anchor podcasting platform. And now some of the stuff that's on Anchor is not on SoundCloud, and then we had stuff on SoundCloud that's not on Anchor. All right, so that's two platforms. Really, really, really confusing. Then, in the midst of that, we got our own standalone app. How I missed that thing. I thought it was awesome. Our own standalone app, right? So then I started trying to use RSS feeds to bring in the content to the standalone app. The VBC 66 app you could download for Google or Apple. It was awesome. It was great. And the company went out of business. In fact, it got bought by another company. And that became the end of our app because the new company was like, oh, sure, we can build you an app. It'll work the same way. And well, then I'm like, it doesn't work. They're like, no, there's all your sermons. I'm like, no, you're just pulling in the RSS feed and it's not even playing on the app. It just allows someone to have to click on the link and it opens up their browser. So the app is nothing more than a link. All it does is provide links to sermons that are put on a different platform. The whole thing was a mess. They were going to charge us like $200 a month. And I'm like, forget that. So we canceled that. They continued to charge us $200 a month for almost a year until we caught that they were still charging us money. Okay, good. Oh, yeah, don't even get me started. And then they called me this week saying, would you like an app? No, not with you guys. Okay. So yeah, that was really frustrating. But we won't go through all of that long story. So now we had the app that went away. And when that goes away, now we got content now. Okay. So some of that content just kind of goes away. We got some on Anchor. We have some on Spotify. We do a temporary thing on Podbean. We're on Podbean for a period of time as our host. That didn't last super long. So we're on Podbean, SoundCloud, Anchor, and then finally, we moved to Spreaker as our podcast hosting site. By that point, we got stuff scattered everywhere. So that means sometimes you're looking for a sermon, right? You're like, hey, I was going through your series on Romans and it jumped from chapter 2 to 5. What happened? Well, what happened is, I don't know. I don't know where all the stuff is. So I have been trying to gather stuff, organize stuff so that people can find it if they want it. So here is what you can do. This is the easiest thing that it's going to require hours and hours of work, but as of right now, who knows? This may go away, and if it goes away, well, then it goes away. But right now, if you go to your app store of choice, go to any app store, Apple App Store or Google, type in Church One. Church One. You're going to see the Church One app. You download the Church One app. Now, when you download the Church One app and you open it, you're not going to find our content. You're going to be like, well, that's weird. Church One app is a generic app. It's just generic. It can be used to pull in content from hundreds, thousands of different broadcast churches, podcasts, etc. All you do once you download it is you do a search for Theology Central. Once you put in Theology Central, that will automatically pull in all of our content. All of our content will just come pouring in. You're going to have access to everything, okay? Now, once you pull it up, on the top left, you're going to see a thing comes down and it's going to say sermons. You click on sermons and you're going to see categories: series, year, scripture, speakers, or categories. If you go to series, guess what you're going to find? A series called Devotional, a series called the Niagara Creed, a series called Bible Study Exercise. There's 197 sermons and Bible study exercise, and I don't even have them all loaded. You're going to see a series on Pelagianism. You're going to see a series on Eye on Christianity, where I talk about what's going on in the world of Christianity. And you're going to see a series on Romans, 41 sermons. Each one of these series, I have created our own artwork. So you can click on the Roman series. Like I'm going to click on the Roman series, and you can say sort. There's a button that says sort, and I can put from oldest. I click on oldest, done, and boom, it pulls in the very first sermon ever preached in the series of Romans. Are you a meat or milk Christian? 1 Corinthians 3, 1 through 5. Then Romans overview part 1, Romans overview part 2, then Romans 1:1 part 1, Romans 1:1 part 2, and I am systematically working through putting all of the content in order. It's an easy way for you to find whatever you want. It's right now it's the easiest way we have. Again, I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if it's going to go away. I don't know. They've got updates coming. I don't know. Again, but this is the easiest way. Now, I've got to go through each series, and I'm going to update it, but it's the Church One app. Download it, type in Theology Central, boom, it's right there. It's simple, it's easy. I don't have to do, I do have to do work. I have to go through each series, and I have to then manually change everything, right? But it pulls in from the RSS feed. So, in other words, I don't have to upload the message. The message just gets pulled in. And whenever a message shows up, you'll get a notification. And the notification for the Church One app works perfectly. Just make sure you have the notifications turned on. So we are going to utilize that in some way, shape, or form. Really, we're just using it as an archive, as a library. For you to find whatever you want. It's not perfect right now. If I had a staff, okay, then, if I had an intern, I would have them working all day on it. And then we could get it fixed in no time. Right now, it's me. So what I'm doing when I'm not here, a lot of times I'm sitting there watching something on television, maybe a sport, because on a movie or something, I'm going to pay attention to that. But I may have something else on watching, and I'm sitting there just, boom, 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 correcting it. Okay, wait, what's the right date? okay, wait, that's the wrong date. Okay, wait, what do we call this? What series do I want to put that under? And I've already found that I ended up with duplicates. We had the Pelagianism series, and all we had was part 2 and part 3. And I didn't know where part 1 was. And then someone said, no, part 1, it's on the theologycentral.net pod page. And I'm like, what, really? So I searched, I'm like, there it is. I'm like, well, where is that? So I have found messages. I do have old RSS feeds that were used for the church app, which is allowing me to go back through those RSS feeds and go, whoa, okay, wait, where did that come from? And so I'm being able to find things, but put it this way, it's there. You may not care, but if you do care, download it, the Church One app. And it's just another app for you to have that you will get notified. I don't know how your podcast apps, how good of notification you get. I don't know. I know some people have a podcast. I'm like, I never get notifications. And I'm like, well, probably you're using an Android and not an Apple device. Okay, I know. I just offended a lot of people. Okay. But every time someone complains, it's usually an Android phone. But find the apps that give you the best notification. That's one thing I would tell. Find the podcast app that's best with notifications. That should just be a prerequisite. Like, I don't get podcast apps and the notifications are just garbage, or it takes forever to bring in the content. Sometimes it drives me crazy. The Edify Christian podcast app, they're great with notifications. They are great, but they are slow in bringing in content. Crazy slow. I like the podcast apps that give me the episode like 2 seconds after it drops. But Church One is there to help you find everything. And if you want to just use it whenever new content is uploaded, there. Now, sometimes it's behind. Sometimes it is behind in bringing in stuff. It is a little delayed, but when it does come in, you'll get a notification. I don't want to spend too much on time on this, but I just wanted people to know that it's there. I don't know what we're going to do with it. It's just, we're always trying different things. Like we were working on try to get a bigger presence on Podbean, but there's only so much I can do. I always have a million ideas, but I'm one person. And so some people get frustrated with me, like, well, you started this and you didn't finish this. And then I understand, I get frustrated with myself. But at the same time, if you look at the bazillions of hours of content, you got to cut me a little slack, right? A little bit, maybe. So, I always have ideas and I don't always have the ability to pull off those ideas. But this one doesn't require really much extra work other than going slowly but surely getting things added. And if there's something you're looking for, let me know, and I will purposely find it and get it placed on the Church One app so that it'll be easy for you to find, and I'll figure out the category to put it in. All right. So there you go. So on the Church One app, just so that you know, I'll give you the basic series that we're focused on right now. So I'm going to go to sermons. I'm going to click on series. All right. Bible study exercises or Bible study exercise, that's simple. Those are the Bible study exercises that we do every week. So that's easy. Pelagianism, that's only a 3-sermon series. So if you care about the 18 points of Pelagianism. Eye on Christianity, that has 56 right now. That's any story that I think kind of gives us an idea of what's going on in Christianity. Romans, I'm trying to fix all of the work that we did on Sermon on the Mount, but that is so just, I don't know. It's destroyed right now. I don't even know how to fix that. I got to try to, we did a lot of work on that, so I got to fix it. Then we have one called News Commentary. That's any commentary that relates basically to what's going on in the world. Imitation of Christ. I've spent a lot of work on that. So I'm going to fix that series. I'm going to try to create artwork for it and get it ready to go. And those sermons are all scattered all over the place as well. Some are under the VBC, some are under Theology Central. So I've got to try to get those organized, and I'll get them organized by date and try to put them in some form of chronological order so that you can listen to that entire series. So we have the Niagara Creed. I'm trying to work on that. The Chalcedonian Creed, I think, there's just a lot here. And I'm going to try to work on them, fix them, and, you can just keep checking back under series, and you can just look at a series and go, how many are in that series? Okay, there's 41 in Romans. Just keep checking it, because the next time you look, it'll be 44 or 50 or 60 or 70, and you'll just see that it's being updated. All right? And if it's a new one being added, sometimes it's just me going in and fixing the RSS feed. Sometimes it's just me going, wait, the RSS feed is all messed up. And I basically fix the data about that, and it automatically fixes it there. In some cases, I got to upload sermons to different platforms and different apps to get it to work correctly. So, it's a work in progress. And if you're interested, great. So there you have it. All right. I think that's going to be the end. All right. You can email me, newsif@yahoo.com, if you have any questions, have any thoughts. I'm just going to call it a day. Well, just go listen to everything that I've talked about today, and you'll have a good idea why I'm calling it a day. And I will be back probably tomorrow morning, maybe, and try to get some things done. And then probably take Tuesday off. That's the plan. That's the plan right now. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your Sunday, and hope you have a great week. Bible study exercise for this week is available. Please go listen to it. You've got lots of homework if you're going to participate, so get started. Everyone have a great day. God bless.